All right, so it's recording now. All right, cool. Yeah, so today, what do you want to talk about? Basically, all I want from you is a good story. Thing is, share with the audience like your story, basically. Happy with that?
I am. Yeah, that'd be cool. Cheers.
All right.
Um, yeah, so I grew up in
Oh,
a
we haven't
FIFO.
started the show yet, though.
Oh, right.
This is like a couple of questions like before the show, like just to make sure you're all comfortable and stuff.
Yeah, no, I totally wasn't. I thought we were just diving straight in. I was like, oh wow, like no spruce before no warm up before the.
Oh no, I still got to do the whole word from my sponsors type stuff. All right. It seems like you're keen as, so we'll get into it. All
No,
right.
hang on, no. I'm keen for a little bit of a warm up chat would be good. Yeah, do is like if I have a tendency to drop the F-bomb, is that an issue or
If
is
you
that
can
preferable?
not, that'd be preferable. Yeah, if you can
That's what I
not.
thought I'd ask.
But if you do, you do. But yeah, try not to.
Yeah, I will.
All right.
Yeah, cool.
Sweet.
Yeah, so where does this all so you put this on YouTube as well?
Yeah, so people should be watching this on YouTube within like an hour or two. And hopefully by Spotify. Yeah, they stuff around. Yeah.
You just
And it
get
should be
shit
up on
done.
Spotify by like maybe, well, I'll probably go to the gym. So it'll probably be on Spotify and iTunes probably tonight or something like that.
Yeah,
All right.
cool.
You look keen, so I'm just going to quickly just jump into it. All right. Word from my sponsors. Sponsor is me. All right. This is my FIFO book. If you haven't read it, it's bloody hilarious. It's all the dodgy stuff that happens in mining, but at the same token, it's all like it explains what a donger is, explains the wet and dry mess, but it's also got like how to get drugs on site and everything if you want to know that. I know, right? Oh, sorry. You can get that at Aaron Weston Author Instagram account or Facebook page. And for the kids, I've got under Children's Books by Aaron White on Facebook. That's probably the best way to get it. You got the Australian mining machines. So you got all the different machines there. You got the colouring handbook. Australian firefighters. Australian surf lifesavers. Australian Defence Force machines. Australian paramedics. I've sold out of Australian police vehicles, but just picture that being Australian police vehicles. See them all on Children's Books by Aaron White on Facebook. Buy them there, and sweet. All right, let's get into the show.
You're a busy man.
I get bored really quickly.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, like I said, I don't stuff around. All right.
Nice.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Aaron White Show. And I'm your host, Aaron. Today we have a fantastic guest, Cara. Cara is a mindset coach for FIFO workers. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, mate.
Sweet. All right. Yeah. Can you please just tell me your story, like where you grew up, any life-changing events, and how you end up doing what you're doing today?
All right, cool. So, yeah, I grew up in a FIFO family. So, I know firsthand how difficult the FIFO lifestyle can be. And, yeah, so basically from the age of sort of 7.5, 8, my dad started working out in the mines, and it was really exciting to start with. There was more money coming in, and when he was home, he had that sort of, consistent time off, and we used to get away and go camping and do bits and pieces. But it sort of quickly, it changed, and R&Rs kind of weren't as pleasant as what they'd started. And dad he'd come home and he was just really exhausted. My mum was super stressed out, she was running the house and that on her own, bringing up my brother and I. He's 2 years younger than me. And he was just home for such a short time in the end. And then during those times, it was like we were sort of walking around on eggshells, just trying to be quiet so that dad could recoup. And that sort of only lasted a couple of years, and then not long after I turned 12, my parents ended up splitting up and ultimately getting a divorce, and it wasn't nice. It wasn't a nice experience at all for any kid to have to go through, but that for me was a huge life-changing event. My mum, she really fell apart after that. And yeah, for quite some time, I just stepped into this fierce role of responsibility. And as an adult, we throw around responsibility like, you know, it is a good thing. But as a young kid, sort of stepping up to that plate, like it was pretty intense. And it just really kind of progressed into this intense need for control. So then when I sort of hit about 15 or so, I started getting really bad anxiety. And when I hit about 16, I discovered weed and alcohol. And I discovered how to have fun by getting out of my head, you know, in all the wrong ways. So that sort of, I ended up sort of chasing that for the next 10 years and numbing everything. And yeah, put myself in some pretty compromising situations. I was sexually assaulted twice. And you know, I pulled myself out of it a couple of times, but I'd sort of always get sucked back in and couldn't really work out why. And I ended up going overseas when I was about 24. And I came back home 2 years later with a really badly broken ankle after necking a bottle of vodka neat. And I was just like, something's got to change, man. Something's got to change before something, you know, before I give. So I started a community services work course when I was 26, and that really kind of kicked off my you know, my sort of training around being, you know, supportive toward other people, learning how other people sort of tick a little bit and that sort of stuff. Yeah, I didn't really develop much of a relationship with my dad until I was probably about 28, 29. And then when I turned 33, in 2016, he ended up passing away from cancer, and you can tell obviously still affects me. We got really close in those last couple of years, and unfortunately, you know, it was a little bit too late. He was only 56. But I think, you know, like working away all the time, it really made it hard for that connection to kind of, you know, to be any time we'd catch up, it was for a reason, a birthday, a Christmas. It was never the right time to have that conversation, you know, to sort shit out and kind of move through things. And yeah, in 2016, a couple of weeks after my daughter was born, he was diagnosed with cancer, and yeah, he passed away 8 months later. And so that really messed me up. Like I relapsed a bit there. And I hit the alcohol again pretty hard to sort of, you know, recover, and numbing myself was kind of the only way that I really knew how. Yeah. And so I did that for about a year. But what I realized in that time was, or looking back on it, I should say, like after, was that by numbing out those feelings of sadness and grief and all that uncomfortable things that we don't want to feel, I also numbed out my capacity to be really joyful and be really happy and laugh. And that's something that I'm known for. Like I'm, you know, I'm usually really very happy-go-lucky person. I'm very positive, and yeah, everything was just. And then I started looking deeper into things. You know, I'd seen some psychologists and counsellors and that, but none of them really quite, that sort of clinical kind of stuff, it didn't really gel with me. And for whatever reason, however it happened, I stumbled across NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. And man, that freaking changed my world.
Yeah.
And yeah, I finally got together, you know, just able to use these tools and these techniques and strategies to really like flick the switch in my unconscious mind and to really understand what was going on with my values, with my beliefs, with, you know, why I kept coming up against these roadblocks and why I'd be headed straight for this goal and then go and fall short of it and go, you know, what happened there? Like, yeah. So that's sort of, you know, what I've been putting my whole life into for the last sort of 18 months now solidly. And yeah, my world has changed. It's been awesome.
Why do you? You see that goal then go up, and what is stopping you?
Yeah. So between the age of sort of 0 to 7,
yeah,
where it's sort of known now that we're imprinted with a set of core beliefs and value systems by anybody around us, whether that's your family members, your parents, your siblings, your teachers, you know, family, friends, anyone that's, you know, has any kind of imprint on your life can leave any one of their values or belief systems on you. And as you grow up and you develop into, you know, your own person, these are sort of stuck in your unconscious mind, and they don't necessarily ultimately end up being the things that serve you. I mean, if you think about some of those old sort of sayings like, you know, what's an old saying you might say on the mine site, like something,
you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. That's a classic. So you can't teach an old dog new tricks. What do you think that implies to older people?
It implies that as soon as you get to an age, basically you stop your learning. So there's no point trying to learn new things because you can't.
That's right.
Obviously, we know there's a load of rubbish.
That's right. And what age is that age? You know, what does the individual consider old? You know, I know some people, I know when I was a kid, I used to think that friggin' 30 was old. Well, you know, and I know now, like I did quite a few years in aged care. I just finished up there after 8 years. And I've seen some people who are in their 90s who I wouldn't consider old, you know? So the range is so vast. And so it gives people this kind of excuse almost to, like, you know, oh, that's, you know, that's kind of how it's brought up. It's in my genes, it's in my genetics and all that sort of thing. And really it's giving away your power. Yeah. And so if you can then work with the unconscious mind to flick that switch and to reprogram things that you want it to believe, things that you choose to believe, and things that are going to help you get to your next level, whatever that looks like for you, then how powerful is that?
Are you still with the dad of your daughter?
I am, yes. Yeah. Yes.
How do you feel
very happily.
Sorry?
Yeah, very, very happily married to him. He's my absolute rock. I would not be half the person, have had half the opportunities that I've had if it wasn't for him supporting me.
Yeah. Do you feel your parents' breakup back in the day has changed your relationship with your partner now, or the partner when you chose him, or how you acted with that family unit?
He certainly does carry some of the traits. You know, I can see both my dad and my stepdad in my husband now, which I adore. I can see those admirable traits. It's made me aware and conscious of, I had a really bad track record before my husband of choosing all the wrong guys. And the first comment that someone said to me when I'd met Sean was, "Oh God, what dickhead is she going to bring home this time?"
Yep. She got,
I was like,
got the
guys.
type.
Yeah. And then when they met him, they were just like, "Oh, like he's a decent one." Honestly, I'd gone for all probably the bad sort of side of, you know, and then, Yeah. And I think as well, like just with that self-development work that I'd done had helped me to kind of get a lot clearer on what I deserve.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he came into my life shortly after I got home from the UK. So that was a good decision.
So what did you do over in the UK? Was this partying, or did you do work over there? What did you do?
Yeah. So I worked to live. I worked to live to party.
Yep.
That's where it was at. I worked in hospitality. Yeah, I sort of, and I loved it. I had a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, you could go over and choose whichever, you know, you could be mingling with whichever type of people, I suppose. But the type of people that I attracted at the time were the big drinkers and the big party animals, you know. And that was the lifestyle I lived. And yeah, I wasn't going to get anywhere. I was not going anywhere. And after I broke my ankle, and it was a bad break, I broke the fibula in my left ankle, and I just thought, what are you doing, mate?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Yeah.
Did the sexual assaults happen over UK or back home before you went? Yeah.
Yeah, home. Yeah.
So what happened there? You just partying too hard? Oh, you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to.
Yeah, no, look, that's all right. Yeah, so just want to be careful, obviously, for privacy reasons. But look, one of them, I passed out, and yeah, don't really have much of a full idea of what happened. Just woke up in a compromised position and was an absolute mess. And yeah, probably at the time, you know, drank that away as well. So it's you know, that's something for me that I've had to work through a lot. The other time was someone that I knew, and yeah, just wouldn't take no for an answer. So yeah.
Did you report them to the police or?
No, of course not, because I thought at the time it was my fault because I was being a pissed idiot, and I was, you know, so I turned it all back on me, like, and had all the stories going through my head, you know, like all those horrible things that you sort of say to yourself about what kind of a mess up you are. So it wasn't a nice place to be.
Yeah, basically blaming yourself and that.
Yeah.
I think I think that happens a lot, and a lot of guys get away with that type of thing because the girls do blame themselves and they don't want other people to hear that something like that happened to them. So a lot of these guys that should be locked up or should be, you know, have some sort of repercussion actually get away with it. I wonder if they actually go on to do it to other girls just because they didn't get stopped. Because they did get away with it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of a cycle, and you know, and that's what's really powerful about about really taking back, you know, your ownership of yourself, and really knowing your worth, because you know, when you know that it's not okay. Yeah. And that's like, and I didn't at the time either. It wasn't until I talked about it a couple of years later that one of my friends said to me, "Oh my God, Cara, do you realize?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay, yeah." And you just sort of, yeah. But anyway, that was in another life now. But I've obviously like learned from it, and it's those pieces of the puzzle that makes us who we are, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Tell us about you just went and did the workshop Tony Robbins thing, yeah? Tell us about that. Did you learn anything? Did you learn new tricks how to cope, or
did I learn anything?
My goodness.
What was that?
I said, teach me something. Teach your audience something. What did you learn?
So for those who don't really know Tony Robbins, because astoundingly, I thought everybody knew who Tony Robbins was, but apparently there's some people out there who haven't had the privilege. Do yourselves a favor and get onto a Tony Robbins, you know, he's a motivational speaker, and he is an NLP freaking master. Like, the things that he, you know, the stories that he told about the transformations that he's made in people's lives, and the transformations that we went through over that 4 days. It was 54 hours in 4 days. It was 9:30 in the morning till 11:30 at night, and it was epic. And I guess, to start with, because obviously we were supposed to be going over to Sydney for it, right?
Yeah.
And that all changed thanks to the C-bomb. And we ended up having to do it online. I wasn't heaps keen for that. I thought, I'm not sure sort of if this can really have the same impact, and especially given the hours, we knew what kind of hours we were going to be doing, right? So I was really surprised to work out, and one of my biggest takeaways from that whole thing is how intense, how much your physiology really ramps up your state, how you can choose to keep in a certain state of mind and a certain energy level by choosing to do specific things that get you there. So you may have noticed that I've been getting a little crazy on the dancing scene on my Insta and Facebook and that lately, right? That's my way of, like, I do a lot of work in here in this office on this computer. And, you know, if you're sitting for a long period of time, you sort of start to wind down and your energy kind of kicks down a level. So for me, like, music and movement is the things that really pump that up. So he was huge on that all the way through. And on some of those days, like, we were averaging between 10,500 and 11,000 steps a day sitting in front of a computer, because we clearly weren't sitting. You know, we were standing up and we were mingling and we were moving. And it's different to, you know, people will say, oh, well, I did move, I vacuumed and I swept the floor. It's a different kind of movement. It's an intentional, energetic boost. And it's something, you know what I think it really, like, the dancing and the music does for me? It sparks that fun. And that's where it's at. That's where the juice is. And that's where you get flowing. Like, you know, only an hour ago, I was out there walking and I hit this massive hill, and the old me would have been like, ugh, you know, and the new me, I turn the beats up and I'm like powering up this hill and I'm like dancing to it. Cars driving past. I'm like, I hope I made your day, you know, like, it's like getting into it. And that, you know, that's a hugely powerful thing. The other thing that we tend to forget to do, which is a little bit at the other end of the scale of the ramping things up, is stopping to breathe. Like, how often do we just keep going and going and going and taking these shallow breaths that are just sort of lifted in your shoulder, you know?
Yeah.
How often do you consciously really think about taking in a breath all the way down to your stomach and all the way back up again, and really, really harnessing that actual oxygen in all your cells, you know?
I'm doing it now. But yeah, it's not, it is the shallow breathing. Yep.
It is. And that's a huge sign of being overwhelmed, of being anxious and being stressed. So the count that they gave us was breathe in for 8 seconds, hold it for 32, and then release it for 26 seconds. Now, it takes some practice to get up to those figures. And I thought that I was, I thought that I would be pretty good at it from the get-go, but as it turned out, I also needed to really practice that. But yeah, what else? Oh, there was so many things. We wiped out some old limited beliefs that we had. So, you know, which one?
Whichever.
Yeah, so look, my mantra I used to walk around with was, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. And so I quickly, that was a huge resistance for me. And it's something that I know as well in the FIFO world that, you know, everybody's struggling to get more of.
Yeah.
So we went through this entire process, an NLP process, which helped us to really rewrite that. We scratched that record and we redesigned it. And the way that I see time now is so much different. In fact, one of my clients that I've been working with recently, he's, that whole sort of the getting home and that after school kind of sort of homework, dinner, bath time, story time routine, it can feel like there's not enough time for everything, and you can feel like you're kind of running from one job to the other, when all you really want to do is spend some time with your babies and find out how their day was. But you're like, if I don't get tea on right now, then we're not going to be eating by this time, then we're not going to be in bed by this time, So I did some techniques with him, and he ended up revealing to me that he had managed to find an entire extra half an hour in that 2-hour gap window.
Yeah.
An extra half an hour, it's 184 hours over the course of the year. That's an entire week of his life that he's regained from doing this simple technique he spent an hour with me doing online like this.
Yeah.
And it's so powerful to feel that you can regain some of your time like that,
Definitely. What other
and that
mantras?
knock-on. What was that? Oh, I was going to say the knock-on effect of that as well was really cool to hear about. That the kids were heaps calmer and they settled better for their bedtime and that as well. They weren't so riled up on his anxious energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was really cool. It was just sort of having a bit of a reflection moment there. Yeah, one of those moments where you just like, yes.
That's awesome. Good when you actually help somebody else. I think it's
it's everything. Like it's above money. It's that purpose and that getting those that's making me emotional in all the right ways.
Yep.
Yeah, it's everything, man. Being able to transform someone's life with them, just being able to facilitate that, and guiding them. They're the ones doing all the hard work, if you want to call it hard. It's the simplest form of mindset work I've come across, and I was intensely for 9 years, tried all the different things, and this has been the simplest form by far, and it's a really beautiful thing.
No, definitely. Do you have any it's not called mantras, you got that stuck in my head now, but any like sayings you say to yourself? Not words of affirmation.
I've recently for myself been focusing on opening my heart and feeling all the feels, whether they're uncomfortable or exciting or and I think so for me, following my heart is something I'm very focused on. I do have, I've got quite a few self-care routines that I have, of a morning and throughout the course of the day now, since being with Tony. It's not just about that first half an hour of the day. You got to intermittently integrate this stuff over the course of your day, I do have the energy. I've always got the energy when I need it. I can find it. And so that's been more of a recent one for me. I don't know about having specific affirmations. I think it's I'm rolling with my heart on the day a bit, and whatever I sort of need at the time. Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Trying to think what else to ask you. What else would you like to share? Tell us about the aged care. What did you learn from older people, the people that you work with when you do aged care?
Yeah, man. Aged care was like working with older people is awesome. We have got so much to learn from them, and there wasn't one person that I met that I didn't learn something from. I loved it while I was there. I started out in community care, and then I eventually, for the last 5 years, I was out on the road assessing people in their homes and organising that community care that they needed.
Yeah.
And it was wicked. I loved it. But I'd had my time there. I did about 8.5 years there. And yeah, I was ready to move on. I felt like I got everything that I needed from it.
Did they give you any advice, like to live in the present? Did they have any regrets? Did they tell you any regrets they had in life?
Oh, wow. There would have been more, I suppose, advice given than them sharing regrets. That's what I can remember. That's my interpretation of our conversations, I think, because that's what I tend to focus on.
Yeah.
They were really just about cherishing the small things and really being present in the moment. And I know that gets flung around a lot, but you know, you don't take any of your stuff with you to the grave. You leave an impression on the world about how you made people feel and what you brought to someone's life. Those are the things that are going to remain your legacy, you know. And so I guess, yeah, that was probably one of the things, you know, those couple of things is what I heard the most. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things I try to focus on, just trying to be present. Because going back to your other one where you don't have enough time, I think it's definitely a big FIFO type thing. Were you drinking a beer, or is that?
I was going to say, it's kombucha.
Yeah,
it's kombucha,
so.
by the way. I just realised that it looked like a beer bottle. Well, it is 11:30 over here in Adelaide, Aaron.
Well, it's not 12. We're going to wait till 12,
but still, it's a bit early.
You know, whatever. You're like, all right, I'm going to hang out with Aaron. Got to buddy get on the beer. Somebody put up with it.
Yeah, get on the beers. Have a brewski. Nah, mate.
Oh, that's the question. Well, because you had such a big partying type youth, do you drink and stuff now?
I do, but I've got a loads healthier relationship with it.
Yeah.
Much healthier relationship. Yeah. And yeah, so that's been a significant change in all the ways. Yep. You know, mental health, physical health, you know, not sort of waking up on a Sunday with those, what have I done last night, feelings of anxiety and all those, you know, all that recidivist sort of cycle that alcoholism brings in your life. So yeah, all good there.
Do you work with many people that have had like that? What type of people do you work with?
So I've worked more so recently. I've had a lot of people coming to me who are in a really overwhelmed sort of state. From what I've learned from them, COVID has played a fairly big part in that. Being at home and having to or being at home or being stuck out on site, I should say, for a lot of guys, is having to sit with yourself and not have all these distractions that you usually fill your day up with. And I think that's really seeing people come unstuck. But it's also what I see as an advantage, as a gift, to be able to recognize like what's really going on within you and doing something about it, and not being so busy that you don't have time to reflect on yourself and to work on yourself. Because a lot of the times we get chucked on the back burner. You know, we put everyone else before us, our family, our kids, our jobs. Like, how many people do you know run themselves ragged on the work site? Yeah. It's not like it's a huge thing. And then you tend to come home a bit like, well, you're looking rather sprightly, I've got to say, but you know, I know a majority of the time, a lot of the people I work with are coming home absolutely shattered. And it takes 2 or 3 days of the 5 days that you get at home to really pull back and recover from that. So I guess, I'm really supporting people to become better communicators, really, really getting across what they need in a clear and coherent way that they're understood by the recipient, whether that's your partner, whether that's your boss, whether it's the kids. It makes life a damn sight easier if you can understand each other. And that's the linguistics part of neuro-linguistic programming. So it's all about communication. It's about being more balanced, finding more work-life balance, reducing those levels of feeling overwhelmed and stressed out. And also helping people to become more organised and confident within themselves. And so, yeah, it's been there's been some amazing transformations, and I just froth out on being on the other end of it, just going, yeah, virtual high fives all the way.
Yep. If people do want to work with you, how do they find you online, or what's the go there?
Cool. So I'm on all the socials. My Instagram account is Cara _ in the minds. That's MINDZ, in the minds, all one word.
Yeah.
On Facebook, I'm Cara Baxter -McDonald. It's a bit of a long-winded name. I'm in the process of refining all of that. Actually, I've only just kind of come off the back end of this 9 years with aged care, so I'm sort of getting all of these things together as we speak. But yeah. I've also got a website, www.intheminds.com.au as well, which I can flick you the links to all these things anyway if you wanted to attach them to the show notes. Yeah. But yeah, I've got so many ideas. I feel like since releasing aged care and putting myself into this full time now, where I was only able to do a day and a half a week, now I've just got all these ideas coming at me. So I've got some things in the making. I'm producing an audio book at the moment as well. Yeah. Hence my new gear I was telling you about earlier.
Yeah, it looked pretty
so that's gonna be really exciting. Yeah, I did. Yep. So I'm looking forward to firing that baby up. It's a pretty sexy mic, eh?
No comment.
I've got to say, I think it's real sleek. It's real nice. I'm loving it. I reckon it's wicked.
I know the shape of it. I'm not going to comment.
Oh, where did you go? You just went the state of beetroot, man. Rude. Probably a wrong choice of words on my behalf, or was it?
What have I got? I got the blue ball. Yeah, so I got blue balls. That's all right.
I think I will need a beer after this chat. No.
Oh, yeah, you started it. Oh, classic. All right, so do you know, have you got the title for your audiobook? Because who knows, people might be watching this in like 2 years' time, so your audiobook will be out there on Amazon or whatever, and they'll be like, oh, this is cool, I'll look it up. Have you got a title yet or not yet?
Yeah, so I've thrown a few things around, and the one that keeps coming back to me is how to make FIFO your bitch.
All right, no, that's really good. Like, I'm actually reading at the moment, The Subtle Art's Not Given a F asterisk CK, and yeah, that is how I didn't swear there. Yeah, and those type of titles really grab you. So that's actually a really good title. Yeah, I think that's actually really cool. So yeah, if people are watching this right now, check it out. How to make FIFO your bitch. That's not that bad.
How to make FIFO your bitch. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. I was going to ask what you got in the pipeline, but yeah, that is in the pipeline. So you got your audiobook. What else you got? We got about another minute to spare. What else do you want to share with the audience before we wrap up?
Yeah, look, I just want to say that I I realize for a lot of people that 2020 has been a real bitch of a year.
Yeah.
But as of today, 1st of October, we have got exactly 4 months left of this year. And you don't want to see an entire year and say, oh, thank God, nearly went there. Thank God that's over. You know what I mean? So you've got 4 months to really take back your control, to take back your power within yourself. And you'll see that when you start working on yourself, that the ripple effect that that then has on the things around you, you know, your workplace environment, your family environment, your relationships, and your relationship with yourself, most importantly. You know, if you choose to create that for yourself and, you know, and make that choice to really work on you, then you're going to see, you know, all those improvements around you. And yeah, I think that's a really powerful thing. It's a really great way for people to get back that consistency in their world and to start feeling like the ball is back in their court. Yeah. So it's the choice is on you at the end of the day.
Good. All right, cool. Well, yeah, we might wrap it up there. Did you have fun coming on the show?
I sure did, yeah, and I love tuning into your shows, and you've always got really interesting, you know, people that you interview, and 9 times out of 10, I've ended up, you know, then sort of following them and learning from them and their stories and that as well. I think it's really powerful, and I think it's really awesome what you're doing, Aaron. I think, yeah, hat goes off to you, mate. Yeah, and I really, really appreciate you having me on here and taking the time to hang out today. It's been awesome.
No worries. All right, well, yeah, that's a wrap. I'd like to thank Cara again for coming on the show, and I'd like to thank you, the listener, for listening. Please tell a friend about the podcast and have a fantastic day. All right, bye. Oh, that was cool. Might stop recording this.